Hello, my name is John Turner. I am the Manager of Community Development and Research at the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority. And today we're here to talk about some CARES Act funding that has become available in Nebraska. The Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, also known as the CARES Act, is a $2.2 trillion economic stimulus bill passed by Congress and signed into law by President Trump on March 27, 2020, in response to the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. NIFA is conducting interviews with Nebraska agencies who are the recipients of this funding and provide housing resources. Some programs are required to allocate all funding by December 30th of this year, while others have 2 years to allocate funds. Understanding the need and the timing of this funding and the numerous people that need help in Nebraska, NIFA wants to share these valuable resources via our social media platforms. Today, we are joined by Tina Murray, the Director of Crisis Engagement at Together, to talk about street outreach in Omaha. So welcome, Tina, and thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I guess if you could start with a little bit about Together and what Together is and your role.
Yeah, Together is a homeless service here in Omaha, Nebraska. We have a couple different programs. We have rapid rehousing, which is where those names are pulled from that by name list, and they have intensive case management. We have crisis engagement, which is here in my department. We focus on diversion, prevention, just dealing with people in housing crisis. We have a program that we run through CHI Bergen Mercy to address some of those issues too. And then a UHC, United Healthcare program, where we have high utilizers, and we have 10 people that we keep on a caseload, and they give us the names and we house them. And then I am the co-lead for the Match Street Outreach here in Omaha. And then here in the next few weeks, we will be receiving that grant to start our own street outreach team here Together.
Excellent. So the thing that I thought was interesting about when I was going through the different agencies that receive funding is a lot of times we hear about rental assistance, eviction prevention dollars. Now I've been hearing about mortgage assistance. The last interview we did had actually rent and mortgage, but this was very specific to a need that obviously already exists. We have a plan to end homelessness. So I guess, can you talk about how these CARES dollars are going to expand the existing homeless street outreach in Omaha?
Yeah, I know there's never really been a lot of funding for street outreach. I've been doing it for probably 3 to 4 years outside of my own job duties. I know there's people that do it full time, and unless you're through the agency, there's only certain dollars. So a lot of times if we're dealing with people in the streets that might be able to get approved somewhere, but then we have to fish together through other agencies to get like deposit, first month's rent, and to help these people get settled. And I think that this CARES Act money or the CV2 ESG money will actually benefit. I know in my agency, we particularly asked for street outreach funding. We asked for an extra car that we weren't able to have, which makes our team more mobile. So we can, like, if somebody needs help now, we can go to them. And then they'll have access to first month's rent and security deposit. And they'll be able to help with like bus tickets. So it's just, and we'll be able to go and get tents and, camping supplies, just things that we've never really had access to. We had to wait for donations to come in before we could get things like that.
Yeah, that's nice. So it sounds like you've got some flexibility. It's not just rent or deposit.
Right. Right. I mean, because, being able to, bus tickets are huge for people. I think some of the requests that I asked for were phones, so people could talk to tech, so they could talk to case managers, doctors, like just things that, we've never, that we see the clients need, but we've never been able to get that kind of stuff. Like we always have a shortage of tents, book bags, things like that. We always have those types of things that are always in need. We've just never had funding to do that kind of stuff.
That's really good. We did a webinar the other day about tenant behavior, and we interviewed the Lincoln Police Department and some providers of mental health services. And during that, the Community Health Endowment had mentioned some new funding in Lincoln that could help with outreach and crisis intervention. And it was amazing to me how essential flexible funding could be. I think they talked about a guy who was hearing voices and his radio headphones broke, and they had them, if some police officer just kind of dug some money out of his pocket and bought some headphones for the guy to
Yep.
kind of help with the
It's
voices. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think, even training for staff, like, trauma informed care and stuff like that, being able to do outreach with police officers, in the hospitals, that's one of my main goals, is to try to connect with some of the emergency rooms and some places like that. Because some people just don't want to go to a shelter, not for any particular reason. And, you have to go to bed at a certain time. You have to do certain things. So, um, not that they're not safe, it's just, it's your stuff, and you're an adult, you've already lost everything. It makes it really difficult. So being able to have that funding to be able to assist people to make it more comfortable. I mean, imagine somebody walking into your camp and they're bringing you a grill, like a little grill, so you can cook a meal. Like, that is just so huge, and you just be surprised. I've come across people that just a backpack just made their life so much better, and being able to get their IDs and birth certificates without having to stretch funding. There's a lot of need that I think just people just don't, you just don't think about.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that's neat about street outreach is how well you partner with all the other agencies in town. And I would imagine,
For sure.
getting someone housed is the first hurdle, but then the ongoing services. Will you be able to do any kind of ongoing work, or will it more be a handoff to another case manager? Or
So I think my plan for because it will be 2 staff here that will be full-time street outreach, and they would carry a small caseload. And the thought would be that they carry them probably 3 months after their house to make sure that they're sustainable. Just to make sure, because it's going to have to be people that can maintain housing, whether that's through general assistance paying their rent, or we've helped them apply for Social Security. We have to put them in a place that they can afford. And some of those people that we get on the street are actually already like in rapid rehousing programs waiting to get housed, or going to be pulled very soon. And then we can prep them, and then those people would go to a long-term case manager. So I think it just depends on the case by case, but the money gives us a little bit extra playroom where we can really figure out how we can best serve the client.
very nice. Let me think. I had a thought and I lost it. Oh, so the other thing that you and I talked about previous to this call was how essential it is to find units, and we might as well do a plug for landlord relationships in this interview too. I guess, can you talk about efforts that you have to build those relationships and what help you might need?
Yeah, so in my department, crisis engagement, because of COVID, a lot of our things have shifted to prevention. So I have 3 staff, including myself. We are calling people on this call log. And so since March, we have really worked with just a lot of landlords, just with follow through, because we're wanting to help clients, and we make sure that they get paid in the paperwork. So we've actually built some really good relationships with some landlords. And the crisis engagement prevention piece of it, because we're getting them their money and we want to keep people housed, and they're referring people to us. On the opposite end, what they're seeing in the back with rapid rehousing, it is difficult to find landlords that are willing to work with higher barrier people. So our efforts, we have one particular staff who is very good at engaging. So between rapid rehousing and crisis engagement, we picked this one person who is willing to engage with some of those landlords, train our case managers on more rent-wise case management, so they can tell the tenants better, that is probably not the right word, but to inform the tenants on how to interact with their landlord so they can try to build that relationship. But then he's going to try to be that point of contact also. So if a landlord struggles with one of our clients, instead of him trying to find the 5 case managers that might be back there, this gentleman is going to be the direct contact. That way that landlord always feels like he has somebody that he can turn to and get that situation dealt with as soon as possible, whether it's late rent or a tenant issue or just anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, very great. So this funding that you have, you said it's coronavirus, it's the tranche 2 funding through Emergency Solutions Grant. That means that it actually will extend past December 30th. You have 2 years? Okay.
Yep, it's 2 years. So, which is great because there's a lot of funding right now that's got to be spent by the end of the year. So this will give us some time. What I'm thankful for is that they were willing to fund street outreach, and it'll give us some time to really build up some numbers. So in those 2 years, we can really show them the work that's been done, so we can get some further funding for that, because it's going to be great. I don't think people realize how much that was needed until we start getting out there and using it.
And, you know, you and I hear about this, but maybe not everybody has, about how it saves the city money to house people that are homeless because of the high cost to emergency rooms and, you know, yep. Detox programs or ambulance, yep. Yeah, jail, all yep. That stuff. Yeah, so you're really
yeah, and I see that whenever because I see that when I work in Bergen Mercy with our crisis engagement there, and we also see it with UHC with the high utilizers. Once people are housed and stabilized, they're, you know, them going back into the hospital. It might still be there depending on their health needs, but it's going to decline. And winter's coming, it's going to get cold. So on top of coronavirus, we're going to have some frostbite issues, and people are going to want to get warm. And really the only places, if they can't get into shelter, is going to be the hospitals.
Yeah. So really need those apartment units, and it's great you've got that flexible funding. Can you say again when you anticipate the funding and when you kind of roll this out?
I'm hoping by the end of October. Because I'm a planner, I'm ready. Like we already have one staff ready to go. He's just transferring from one department over. So we've already been prepping for that. So I plan on rolling it out as soon as possible. As soon as they tell me I can, we're ready to go. I have paperwork ready, policies and procedures, like we're ready.
Cool. The other thing just also is people that don't know a lot about the work that you do with street outreach is that you work within a coordinated entry system. You guys are already connected. So a lot of times the people that a passerby or someone who's driving through might see someone who's homeless and looks like they're struggling. You probably already connected to those folks. And sometimes I tell folks that support agencies that do outreach because they're the ones that are on the boots on the ground. They're the ones building those relationships. So I just feel better knowing that there's something out there for those folks. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, and we've tried. I mean, before the coronavirus, we were doing some public engagement. We went downtown. We did some stuff in the old market, like meeting with the businesses down there. So we were pretty visible, but this has kind of halted some stuff. So I'm hoping with our new normal and more people, as we expand outreach, we just have more dedicated efforts. You know, I know my team here, we plan on reaching out to security, you know, at hospitals and campuses and things like that to really start there. Because I'm sure that they run across people all the time that, you know, it'd be nice for them to know that there's somebody willing to follow up, or, you know, instead of just telling people to go, maybe give us a chance to interact with them. So
if there's someone that's listening to this that wants to learn more about street outreach in Omaha, would you recommend the Match website as a overall resource, or would you like them to reach out to Together? What would you recommend?
I think either or. I think Match has a lot of information, but like it's generalized. But if you want to know how to contact Street Outreach, you can contact me here at Together. And I can, even if it's something that my agency is not able to help with, because I work so closely with the other agencies, Charles Drew, WCA, Community Alliance, and places like that. If I can't help you or my team can't help you, I can, get the information to another agency so they can help. That way, you just get that direct contact.
Okay, and can you say what your email address is?
Yep, it's tmurray@togetheromaha.org. So it's TMURRAY@togetheromaha.org.
Excellent. And when we mentioned MATCH, that's the Metro Area Continuum of Care for the Homeless. And I think it's MACCH.org probably, but I think
I think that's it. Or match to end homelessness or something like that. But if you just Google match, it'll come up. Match in Omaha. I don't know if match.
Okay. Yeah, well, great. But it sounds like maybe if you want the real details and insider information, Tina's the person to reach out to. So thank you so much.
Or I'll connect you to the person to talk
to. Right. You're the link. Very good. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. We're just trying to do our best to get the word out, and it's exciting. It's horrible that we had to get to this point to get this much funding, but hey, we'll take it. And the data you guys get and the resources that you learn from all this is going to really help.
Yeah, I think it's I'm the same as you. Like I'm like, oh, it took a pandemic to really bring a view to it, but I think in the end it'll be good because people will see the data and understand that even outside of a pandemic, this is what it looks like. So this is everyday life for these people. So hopefully it'll open some eyes.
Well, I look forward to seeing how you succeed, and I'm sure we'll be in touch because I participate in match meetings myself. So
great.
All right. Well, thank you again, Tina, and keep up the great work.
Okay. Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too. All right. Thanks again.
Yeah.